My name is Sita Mutyala. I'm a Houstonian since 1981. And today, Friday, March 22nd of 2013, me, Sita Mutyala, and Mr. Rao Ratnala are here as part of Indo-American Oral History project, which is part of Foundation for India Studies, along with Houston Public Library and HCC, Houston Community College. I am very excited. Mr. Rao Ratnala garu, welcome and namaste.
Namaste.
And I'm very excited today because we're going to talk about Mr. Rao Ratnala garu's experience, life, and his whole life in Houston and even before. So, as we talk to Mr. Ratnala about his experiences, we want to keep in mind that we want to capture how Houston benefited by the immigrants like Mr. Rao Ratnala, and how the immigrants benefited by coming to Houston. All right, Mr. Ratnala, welcome to you. We want to talk about you and your life. Where were you born and raised? Please tell us briefly about your growing up and education before you came to United States.
Thank you for your invitation. I'm glad to be part of your interview. And to answer your question, I was born in Bolaram, Secunderabad, Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh. At that time, it wasn't Andhra Pradesh.
Oh.
It was only Hyderabad. It was
Part of Hyderabad. Okay.
part of Hyderabad.
Uh-huh.
It was in 1937.
Okay.
And I was born and raised in that area. Went to school. High school was in Bolaram. My college, I went to Government Technical College in Hyderabad. Used to commute every day. And after my studies, I went to join PWD as a civil engineer. Worked for 4 years before I moved to United States, or came to United States for studies.
Oh, okay. Now this is when I want to ask you.
Sure.
Can you tell us how the idea of coming to United States formed? Was it your mission or your family's interest or what? What was your motive in coming to United States?
Motive was mainly, at that time, before I came to United States, it was very difficult to get a visa or even permission to come to studies in the United States. During that period, I think they relaxed a lot of restrictions. And I heard from my old classmates saying that, hey, it's a good place to go, get additional studies and whatnot. So that's how I started applying for some colleges here. That's when I received my admission in a couple of colleges. And we decided to come on over.
Which year was it?
I came here in 62.
62.
Yes. And in fact, when I came in here, 3 of my old classmates, we all applied at the same time, came to United States at the same time.
3 of you?
2 of us came. The third one had to wait for another 6 months or so because of the visa deals.
So how old were you when you came to, when you put your
25.
step? 25? 25. All right. Okay. Now, when did you come? So you came as a student then to
In
United
62,
States.
that
In
is
62.
correct, yes.
Okay. When did you come to Houston? And I'm sure you had a choice. Why did you choose to come to Houston?
Well, in those days, most of the reasons were where you get the job situation. So I was working in El Paso when I went to school close to El Paso. And I was offered a project in Houston. That's when I moved in to
Which
Houston
year?
in 69.
69.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what was your first impression when you arrived in Houston? Please tell us about your memories as an early migrant to Houston.
Well, it was very difficult to say the least. Difficult in the sense, first of all, change in the dietary situations,
Oh,
what
yeah.
you eat and what you get here compared to what you eat in India. As you know, Andhras usually like what? Rice and dal. So I could hardly find that in here. When I came in here, we had to stay in a college dorm, no restaurants other than cafeterias at the school, completely American food and all that. So that's one of the deals. Other one was not only the language situation, but also mingling with the Americans. So it was very difficult in those
Was
days.
it?
Yes.
Cultural.
Difficulties. That's correct.
All right. Okay. What was you already mentioned that you came to study. Where and what was your further education after you left India? Can you give us more details about
Sure.
it?
In India, I got a engineering degree in civil engineering, but not a BE.
Okay.
It was a diploma.
Okay.
They used to call it a LCE. I went to school in, I don't know whether you need to know the school name. It's not even there anymore. It used to be Government Technical College in Koti.
I see. Cool.
And later on they changed it to Polytechnic Institute and all that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
And
where I
then
went to
here,
school.
in here you went United
I went
States. you
to New Mexico State University.
went. In
And,
New Mexico.
That is correct.
Okay.
Las Cruces, New Mexico. And chose that because of the climate situation. I got admission other schools also in the north, northeast.
Yeah.
Too cold, so I chose New Mexico.
Okay.
So I went to school there, finished my BS in 2 years.
Okay.
And then I had a full scholarship to do the master's at University of Virginia.
Virginia.
That's right.
Okay.
Finished that in 2 years. And then I was studying for PhD, came back to New Mexico State again.
Oh, very
Because
good.
I liked the professors. Professor his name was Gunaji. He's an Indian professor.
Oh.
He was there for a long time. He liked me very much.
Uh,
So with that and climate was better for me. Dry climate, like a little bit like Hyderabad.
I see.
So I came back to
New Mexico.
New Mexico,
Okay.
but did not finish my PhD.
Because you got a better offer, I'm sure.
No.
Okay. All right. So now this is the good time. Let's talk about, please describe your professional background and experience. I know you mentioned that you came to Houston in the job opportunity.
That is
right?
correct, yes.
Okay. So is that where you worked for a long time? Or
Yes,
please give us a little bit.
I came to, before I came here, I used to work for a engineering company in El Paso. Worked for probably a year and a half or so. But then I got a much better offer. It's a larger company, so I came to Houston. And I worked for a company for 15 years.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as you know, most of our Indians, at least in those days, people don't change jobs that well.
Yeah, that's
and,
right.
But I'm an old timer, let's put it that way. So I stayed with Brown and Root for a long time. And
Brown and Root?
That's correct.
Okay.
Joined them in '69, and then I was there until '84, '85.
Oh, that is a
Okay.
long time. Okay.
And
Then
I started my own company in '85.
85.
Yes, Ratnala Engineering Inc.
Okay.
Uh,
So you want to tell us about your company a little bit?
Yeah, I think when I started, I was a one-man operation. Started working out of my house, slowly building it up. And then I got a partner later on, about 5 years later. Then changed the company name from Ratnala to my partner's name also.
Oh, what's the
saying
name? now?
Ratnala and Bahal. So we've been still doing the same thing for last 27 years.
Really, 27.
Well,
So
I
I'm sure
think
you.
so. It's 20. what, from 65, 85
85 to now,
um,
13,
yeah,
2013.
that's right, yeah.
So I'm
So
sure
about
you grew, your
28.
company grew.
Yeah, 27, 28 years, yes.
Okay.
Well, it
Good.
grew, but then it started slowing down too.
Okay. Economy, along with the economy. probably.
Plus, I think that's other reasons.
Okay. So now at this time, I want to ask you, what adjustments you had to make to live in United States and in Houston? How did you overcome the cultural? We mentioned a little bit about it. How did you overcome the cultural and language barriers? What did you like, and what was it that was terrifying? What kind of learning experience you had over the years in Houston?
Okay, in Houston, it was not that big a learning experience because when I moved to Houston, I was already married to my wife in El Paso. She's from El Paso. And most of the adjustments I had to make were made between 62 and 68.
16. Okay.
That 6-year period.
All right.
And you're right, when I first came in, it was very, I wouldn't say scary, but a lot of different adjustments I had to make. One of the major reason, well, not the reason, one of the major adjustment was, in those days, there were hardly any foreigners in that area, especially where I went to school. Okay, mostly there was a lot of Hispanic influence. But that was one of the major adjustments I had to make. But slowly, by going from there to Virginia and coming back to New Mexico and moving to El Paso, learn most of the stuff.
Okay.
as
And
to
the
how to adjust.
adjustments.
That's
as
right.
well. Okay.
But once I moved into Houston, there wasn't major adjustment I need to go through other than just it's a finding a new place, new weather conditions. That's basically, yeah.
Okay. So what do you like the most? Let's look at what you liked in Houston life, what you like in Houston life, and what do you think you are missing here compared to your life in India? And what does the city Houston mean to you, and how it influenced you? And how do you assess the life and opportunities in Houston?
Okay, Houston lifestyle, okay, it's similar to more or less, I would say, like Hyderabad.
Hyderabad.
Okay, and where I was going to school was very small town, and that's a big difference.
Oh, okay.
So it was very easy to get adjusted to Houston as a environment per se. But when you talk about the involvement with the other people like of Indian origin, there weren't many Indians around
Yeah.
here. So it was kind of difficult. So mostly I I communicated or dealt with only the Americans around here.
Okay.
So that is maybe one of the reasons why most of my Telugu speakability and all that is kind of lost. I hate to say it that way, but that's what has happened.
Oh, you're still speaking Telugu very well when I talk to you in Telugu.
Very little.
You haven't forgotten it all.
No. But once my nephews came in here, I started speaking a little more.
Oh,
But we can get to that later on.
Okay.
But so in Houston, I think adjustment was it wasn't that difficult. But then I started developing a lot of new friends. Slowly, the Indian community in Houston was growing slowly.
Yeah.
Okay, and it started growing real fast in 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
In 90s and
90s, yeah,
2000s.
that's right. So that's when I started my company, and then that's when I started putting more emphasis into not only my work, but also the social and the political
Very good.
deals.
Excellent. Okay. So let's talk about your social life. Over the years, what is your involvement in forming or sustaining of any social, cultural, religious, and political organizations. I'm sure I heard a lot of good things about your your
I don't
involvement in several organizations. And please tell us some of that information.
What do you want me to start on the
Political. Yeah, let's talk about political.
Political, I think I need to give most of that credit to my wife, Candy, because she used to be, even when she was in school, she used to be a vice county chair for Republican Party in El Paso. Okay, and after I got married, after we moved to Houston, until mid-'80s, I didn't have any interest in politics, and she had interest, but she didn't have any time because of the kids and all that. But she got very involved during Clinton election time, and she went full force at that time, and that's when I started getting involved with politics. And and then after that, with a couple of friends from locally, we started creating a political action committee.
Oh, okay.
I was involved with two others. I don't know whether you want the names or not. With those two others, we could form a PAC, Indo-American PAC.
Please go ahead and mention the names.
Yeah, the first two people were Jagat Kamdar and Randy Sani. So the two people. And Randy, after I started my company, I started talking to Randy because he already had his own architectural firm. So that's when I knew him. So we slowly got involved with the politics and started Political Action Committee at that time.
Very good.
And from then on, we started having fundraisers for a lot of politicians, not only Democrats, but also Republicans. We had a lot of congressmen, mayors, senators, quite a few of those.
Are you still active in that PAC?
I'm active, but I really, now others have taken over. We don't, three of us, we don't get involved. We do get involved, but not actively. Political Action Committee is run by somebody else now. And, but that's our political background. In fact, I think we went to Clinton's inaugural.
Oh, you did? Okay.
2 times. And went to White House several times in those days, because she was very active in getting in the election period of Clinton. And
she still is?
Well, no, with her health, she's completely stopped everything. And not only that, we helped a lot of congressmen. We used to have congressmen from other areas.
Fundraisers too?
Fundraisers for them, and also other help. Mayors in the city of Houston.
Okay.
Sheila Jackson Lee.
Okay.
She came to our, here, no, I'm sorry.
Not a problem.
No, we have gotten fundraisers at our house for quite a few of these people.
So how about social, cultural, and religious organizations?
Okay. Social is political, social, maybe you can say religious organization, and so I support all religions. Okay, I've helped quite a few times for Meenakshi Temple organization, and building some new buildings and inspecting them, and designing some parking garage, I mean the parking lots, whatnot. Yeah, but that was all. I haven't gotten involved in last 6-7 years over there, because I'm slowing down, I guess, getting old. But not only that, we have helped some mosques.
Okay.
And
in Houston?
In Houston, yeah, because one of our associate was working with us. He wanted some help. Yeah, we did that. We also helped some churches here.
Churches too.
And most of those, I know, most of those are pro bono. We just do it for free.
Okay.
Most of them.
I see.
And so that's the religious aspect of it.
That's very nice.
And we go to Baptist church here.
Okay.
But in India, we used to, I was a devout Hindu.
Okay.
And, but my nephews are still Hindus here. And we go everywhere. Okay. And that's about the religious, and political we talked about.
Social and cultural.
Okay, cultural, like I said, communities. Okay, we started the South Asian Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
I was instrumental in that.
Wow, very good.
And then I was instrumental in, as I said, when I was, I'm not the only one.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
And we are also instrumental in starting Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. Okay,
Very important organization.
that's right. And in fact, that happened when
When was that?
Council, but Sardarji was here first time.
Which year roughly?
Wow, that's about
80s?
15 years ago.
80s? 90s?
90s, I think,
90s.
right?
All right.
Saswansi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Saswansi.
Swaswamsing.
Yeah.
He's the
He's an ambassador now.
Consul General.
Yeah.
Consul General, yes. First
Yeah,
Consul
first,
General.
yeah, that's right.
Yes,
Yeah. Now
okay.
he's an ambassador now, I think.
Okay.
But yeah,
All
first
right.
Consul General. We used to have meetings over there before we formed the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce.
That was only about around 15 years ago, huh? Not,
I
long,
think
not
so.
longer than that.
I don't think so.
Amazing. It's a very
15.
important organization.
Well,
What about,
I had
I
the
know
dates.
you're involved in Gandhi Statue. Tell us about it.
Thanks to me.
Tell us.
I'm
about it.
sorry, yeah. I think Gandhi Statue, because as I said, we try to help anywhere we can because, see, God has been good to us,
Yeah.
okay? So this is the time we can
Give
repay
back.
somebody else.
Give back to the
That
community.
that is the reason why we started doing all
Excellent.
this extra work,
Yeah.
okay? And my friend Krishna asked me to come help with this situation because we are engineers, okay? We can go out and design the foundation,
Yes.
whatever it is. So
We have the capacity
with
and
capacity
skills.
to do all that, and that's true. So, and we also had the contacts with the city government also.
Okay, good.
So, combination with those, we could design the foundation for the Gandhi statue, and we had a ceremony, and they invited us to go participate,
Yeah.
and we have done that.
That's excellent.
And,
exciting time, I'm sure, having
Well,
a
yeah, that's-
Gandhi statue in
That's right.
Houston.
Exactly.
Center of Houston.
It was so hard to get all that arranged. Mr. Krishna Vavilala has
Yeah.
to spend a lot of time on
Right.
it. He has to, at the last minute, it was also trying to get the statue in time was getting to be a very difficult deal. So he has to call some people.
I'm
to get
sure you
everything done.
received an award for it. I heard you received an award.
Yeah, I
for
did
it, or
receive
a
an
trophy.
award. Yes, I didn't bring it here, but I received an award
Yes.
for.
And some recognitions from mayor and
Oh,
all
yeah,
that.
mayor, mayor was presented the plaque and said thank you for all this extra work we have done and all that.
So these
That
are
was
all
good.
your contributions and involvement in mainstream political, social, and economic environment
Yeah, even
in
in business.
Houston.
Yeah, in
Any
business
other
also.
things that we
In the business also, we were
Please.
recognized for fastest growing company
Oh.
after we started.
Okay.
We were, in fact, not many companies have the distinction of fastest growing company in 6 consecutive years.
Oh, 6 years to
6
get
continuously.
One, then six
Okay, based on that, I think
Yes.
this was, my picture was in the,
Oh, yes.
My picture
Let
was-
me show this one.
My
Now,
picture
let me
was
see where you are.
right there with the hard
Right there
hat.
with the hard hat.
I like
He's
an
right
engineer,
here at the hard hat.
Yeah.
I don't know whether we can,
You cannot recognize me.
whether you look exactly the same or not. Very close, very close.
Too, I know. So, not only, yeah, they were,
And
the
you brought
South-
something else to show it to us. Okay, you want to
Yeah.
show something else in
the thing, I think they have a
Little,
description as to what
description
it
to-
is, yeah.
Ah, okay.
So,
On the cover.
I can,
okay,
yeah,
the
I
description
can,
about the
yeah, I can leave this with you all
Okay.
if you want to.
And you brought something
And
else to
also,
show
I
this
was
one.
also the first company to be, not first company, the first time when Metro was honoring Asian,
Ah.
okay? So this is what they did.
There you are. You
Yes.
look exactly the same.
I wish.
Yeah, very nice.
So this is the first
Asian
time.
American Heritage
Yeah. This is the
Month.
That's right. So that's the first time they started Asian Heritage Month by Metro
Okay.
because they saw, we talked to some of the mayors and all that. They said, hey, you have to show some Asian participation because there are so many. At
Yes.
that time, even though we were the second largest Asian
Construction
well,
company?
no,
Business?
number of peoples.
Oh, number of
Okay, because in those days, I think, not Korea, what is that? Vietnam was the
I see.
largest, okay?
Mhm.
And then followed by Indians and all that. Now India took over that.
Okay.
A lot of, okay, so there are a few other deals like that. I don't know what else I can say. Anyway.
Okay, so I think you already answered it, but I want to ask you again. To what extent you think you have integrated into mainstream American society and culture?
Well, that's maybe a little too easy for me to
Yes.
say because I got married to an American long time ago. In those days, I don't know whether I should say that or not, but especially in the South or in New Mexico area, they used to take a double take when you look at me and my wife go together. And but we used to it. Now it's not like that anymore. So that's all right.
So you think you're integrated into America? I think so
guess
too.
I hope so too.
Well, from what you tell me.
Yeah.
Okay, then the next thing I want to go into, Houston is a cosmopolitan city. In all these years, what kind of interaction you had with non-Indian communities, colleagues and neighbors, etc.? I think you already mentioned quite
Yeah.
a bit on all the experiences
I
that you
can,
mentioned.
I can say
One
few
more.
other things in
Okay,
there too.
please do.
In that, the integration like that, what you're talking about is not only meeting with these people. I was a board member on several organizations.
Ah, that's
Okay,
very
I was board
interesting
member.
point.
First of all, I was a board member on Red Cross. Okay, then became
Wow.
I was asked to join the board member for UT Health Science Center.
UT Health.
And then University of, what is that? HCC,
Okay.
okay? And then the other one is St. Thomas, University of St. Thomas. And a few other organizations. I don't even know what those things are.
Okay.
I'm sorry I didn't bring it.
No,
Right
not a
now,
problem.
right now, not resigned. Some of those, you stay only 6 to 8 to 10
time
years. That's
is
right.
there,
After
okay.
that, they get away from there. And so right now, I'm not in any of those.
Okay.
But I got involved with all those deals.
Now I'm going to ask you a touchy question. In all these years, whether it was in profession or as a resident of Houston, have you ever thought you were discriminated? You don't have to go into any details, but I feel it is important fact to note in this project.
Yes. I don't have to think. Yes.
Well, only once or more than once, and to
Well,
what extent? Significant or non-significant?
Well, in
Or
the
you can tell
beginning,
in that
no,
way.
in the beginning, yes, there was significant, especially in my college years.
College years, okay.
Okay, especially because the American society was not exposed to all these foreigners in those days.
Was not
As
ready.
you remember, I was
Okay.
here early 60s.
Yes, yes.
Okay, in those days, they're not very, especially when you go to
very
South.
Yes.
If you're in New York, that's a
Yeah,
different
right,
story.
right,
Okay,
right.
here, in fact, when we went to some restaurants in El Paso, when you're going to school in
Yeah.
early 60s,
Uh-huh.
they used to come and speak to us in
Harsh.
in Mexican language.
Okay, Spanish.
Yeah, and sometimes they used to get mad at us. Why don't we speak in Spanish? Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So, but afterwards, I think. What is the other question you said? There was some other thing I wanted to say.
That's the gesture that I was looking for.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think the other thing is discrimination. Well, I won't say discrimination, but in a way, the reason I left Brown and Root is because I was there for so long, and I was next in line to get a promotion.
Okay.
Okay, as an assistant manager of the department, and I was bypassed, and that was given to a younger engineer.
That was a significant experience
Exactly
you had.
right.
on
That's in early 80s. So I didn't like that. So that's when I just quit Brown and Root and started my own.
Okay. So this is going to be an interesting one. In all these years in Houston, have you ever thought that you do not fit here and you want to go back to India?
No, I never thought I don't fit here.
Okay.
That
Okay.
never come to my mind.
Okay.
And whether I want to go back to India, no, only because I've been raised here, my kids are here, even though my brothers and sisters come here often. In fact, I even brought my cousins here on a visa, with company visa and all that. But no, I never thought that.
Okay. How do you, okay, this one. Oh, how do you identify yourself? Indian, American, Houstonian, or what?
Indo-American, that's it.
Okay.
Whenever you go there.
That fits right in, right?
That's right. I mean, nowadays everybody recognize that because Indo-American or Pakistani American or Vietnamese American.
Okay. If you have
Hyphenated.
any, how much of a feeling about the loss of Indian cultural identity in you? Do you have any feeling?
Yes, I do. And sometimes I kind of miss that. Okay. But I think the lifestyle is such that so I had to forget it and not forget, but try to put it behind me and move on.
And
That's
also,
the only way
I think
that's the way I can prolong.
also I think that you brought something with you which stays with you,
Right.
even though it may transform a little bit, but you never lose it completely.
exactly, yeah.
Is what I don't know. My 2 cents were thinking. Okay, when did you become a citizen of the United States? Was that a quick decision or very well thought for a long time decision? And by the way, how often do you go to India?
Okay. First of all, I became United States citizen in 72 or 73. Okay.
Okay.
And this is kind of a area I don't know how to answer it, but at that time I think once we had a son born, we decided that time then I better settle down either here or there.
Yeah.
Okay. And that has prompted us for us to settle down here.
Okay.
And how many times have I gone to India? I haven't. That is the I know.
Since you
that
came?
Since I came here.
Really?
One reason or another. After that, I had some health problems.
Okay.
And in fact, I was invited to join some of these large organizations. And one organization was I don't even know what it is. You had to go outside and climb a mountain and all that for 3-4 days. I'm very bad at names, as I said. Okay, and
That's all right.
they asked me to join, and I talked to my doctor. He said, "No, you can't do that." And then I was invited to go to India with Clinton.
Oh.
Okay,
Well, that was a good opportunity.
I know. I got the paperwork and everything else,
Uh-huh.
and the doctor said, "No, you cannot because you did not get your medical deals and all that." So, but see, I had a lot of health problems. That's the thing I'm
Main
making.
reason why.
So my health problems started in early 70s.
I see.
So that's when he said, "No, you can't go."
Okay.
So I was very disappointed
Oh, I bet
because
you were.
Clinton went to Hyderabad and stayed there for a day or so, and only myself and one other individual was invited to go with him from Houston.
From
I mean.
Houston.
Yeah. So this is the reason.
Okay. Okay. Now, let's talk about your family. Please tell us about your family. Were you married? Yeah, I think you already mentioned that you were already married by the time you came to Houston. Tell us about your children. At this time, I like to capture your opinion in interethnic, interracial, and interreligious marriages.
One thing I can say is it all depends what you make out of it.
Okay.
Okay, and because even though I got married in early 70s, no, 60s in fact, okay?
How old were
Late
you?
60s.
How old were you?
30, yeah. So I
You're
was
not a
married in
teenager?
68.
You were not a
No,
teenager
no,
at 30?
no, that's
Mature.
true, yeah. In
Okay.
fact, when I came here, I was 25.
Yes.
And so I worked in India for 4 years before
Before
even.
you came.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I lost chain of thought. What do we? What the
We're
question?
talking about your family.
Oh, I see.
And
Okay.
also
That's
first
right.
children.
That's right.
Let's
yeah.
talk about children
So
first.
I have one son and 2 daughters,
Okay.
and so they're all born.
In Houston or?
One was born in El Paso.
El
My
Paso,
son was
okay.
born in El Paso. My 2 daughters were born in Houston.
Okay.
And
The
they're
Houstonians.
Houstonians. That's
Okay.
true. Yeah. The whole family lives in this area.
In Houston. They still live in Houston?
Yeah,
Okay.
all three.
All
of them.
three?
That's
Okay.
right. Yeah, and my son is a. I don't know what you want to know about that.
Well,
Any
are
details
they
or any?
professions and
Oh, yeah,
what
that's
are
right. I
they
think, my
doing to
son-
contribute to Houston? I guess that's
Yes, my
in which
son.
way?
My son he is a very smart kid, but not going into the details. He was a. I'm trying to think of the name. Anyway, right now he's a lawyer,
Okay.
practicing lawyer. In fact, he went to Washington only last week,
Mhm.
and he got a certificate to, or whatever. He was admitted to practice law even in Supreme Court. So he's
What is his
supposed-
name?
Ravi Ratnala.
Okay.
And my daughters, my first daughter is Melissa. She's an executive with one of the companies. I have a name here. I don't remember. She
In
just
Houston.
changed-
In
In
Houston.
Houston. She used to, for a long time, she worked for Enron.
Oh, okay.
And before it went down,
Yeah.
she went to
Oh,
Calpine.
lucked
I
out
know.
before.
Yeah, she
Okay.
wise decision.
Uh-huh.
So she went to Calpine, and from there now she got a good promotion. She's a manager in this company. In
Okay.
fact, she's supposed to be going to Thailand for a 2 or 3 month, not a
Assignment?
training, but
Project?
to review the projects.
Okay.
And my youngest daughter
Mhm.
is Melanie,
Mhm.
and but her husband is a pastor in one of the churches,
Wow.
and so she's
Interesting.
she's a full-time mom and also helps her church and all that.
Such events.
Yeah.
So none of your children are professionally involved with you in your engineering company?
Yes, not at this time, but my son was professionally involved because he is also a civil engineer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and,
Interesting. That's excellent.
But the only difference is he's a very smart kid,
Mhm.
and he never wanted to read any books.
Mhm.
He gets everything naturally.
Oh.
So he looked at his dad and he says, "You work too hard. I'm not that kind. I want some free time." So I said, "Forget it." He got away and then went to law school and got his lawyer's degree. So now he's practicing law.
And he's
So
successful in his chosen profession.
yeah, none of
And-
them wanted to be doctors. Because anyway, that's another story.
Okay. So to complete, you started explaining or talking about your opinion in interethnic, interracial, and interreligious marriages.
Mhm.
I want
That's
I want to give you an opportunity to complete your
Oh, no,
thought
it depends on, I mean, it depends what you want to make it out of. And some people, I know, it's individual, I wouldn't say preference, it's a choice as to how they do it. I've known some of my friends who had an interracial marriage, they didn't last for 4 or 5 years, and they went back and say, that's the problem. And others I have seen, I have some friends who marriages like this, they're still married, and they've been there for 20, 30, 40 years.
You're absolutely right. It all
So,
depends on how you want to make it.
Yeah, that's right. So-
Okay. So I want to say, I want to repeat what Martin Luther King Jr. said once. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Can you tell us about some of those challenging times and where you stood? Have you ever attempted or thought of influencing some of the public policies in Houston, Texas, or United States? Tell us about that.
Yes, I have, because now since you mentioned that, now I remember one situation. This was, I was also, I think I already told you I was politically involved. And I had good relation with even Ann Richards. I don't know whether you know that
Yes,
or not.
yes. Oh, that's very good.
Okay, and what has happened was, for some reason, they were trying to, I don't know if it's a good thing to say about the minority participation and all that, the special, what do you call, the minority business enterprises and all that. And the Texas used to have some kind of system like that also, saying they will give us some kind of a, not a special preference, but similar to that, to any ethnic people like Hispanics, blacks, Asians, everything like that. So somebody started, as we all know, Indian community is a very well thought of in the whole country, and also because they work hard, they produce a lot, okay, and they're in a much higher position than most of the rest of the other ethnic people, and to some extent even like Americans, in fact. So in those days, that some, I won't name any ethnics who created the problem, they thought Indians should not be part of it. Okay, that is when there were some hearings and all that which were conducted in Austin. So that's when I think we took initiative. When I say we, it was only a handful of us. It's myself, I told you, Jagat Kamdar, Randy Sani, and only other person was Victor Butt. I don't know whether you know Victor. 4 of us went there and said to Austin and defended ourselves. And before that, I already talked to Ann Richards. I said, this is what is happening, this is not fair. We are also minorities. If you want to find out what kind of treatment we get from these other people, you need to be listening to this. That's when she said, well, there is a hearing going on, you go talk to them. So then we 4 of us went there. And what they did is, instead of saying, okay, we're going to include you, but they decided in that meeting saying that we will not exclude Indians anymore, but we want to review it. But if we find out later on it's not, you don't deserve it, we'll take you out. So
did it remain that way even till now?
It's still, now it's still there.
Very good.
Okay.
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 All right. And then, so how many grandchildren you have?
3.
3 grandchildren. And they're all in Houston too, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
And you already mentioned some of the awards. Is there any particular awards that we missed?
I don't know. I don't know what I remember.
That's okay. I'm sure we covered the significant ones.
Yeah, because time is running out. So
sure. And then there were only a couple of only one other thing that I want to ask before we close this. I know that things changed a lot in India and Houston as well. In Houston as well. Today, after living in Houston for so many years, what advice would you give to someone who is coming from India to Houston?
I'm not good at giving advices. That's the problem, I think. But as I said, I brought my nephews here. And all I told them is, now you're here, and any help you need from me, let me know. And I'm here. But you're on your own, and this is what the challenges I faced. And you may or may not face this because the times are different. Okay? And so that I leave them alone.
Very good. And myself, I, Sita Mutyala, thank Mr. Rao Ratnala and Foundation for India Studies and Houston Public Library and also Houston Community College for this opportunity, for this interview. And thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.